So I just finished making 4 product videos for a client of mine, and I was thinking that this week's episode would be all about how I shot them, all the things that went wrong, and some things that you can apply to your next product shoot. Alright, so before we get into it, I just want to add a little bit of backstory, and that is that I shot the first flavor before I shot the rest of the 3. I did it this way because I didn't want to waste time shooting all 4 flavors just to find out in editing that it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. It was also super hard to plan this shoot because the client wanted these videos to look cool and tough while keeping that refreshing, tasty feeling. So I had to start thinking, okay, what is tough but still looks good? Well, black rocks. So I went out in the woods and I found this big rock, bought some spray paint, and I painted it black. I also scooped up some gravel and I had to do the same thing. The only downside to that was that I had to flip all the rocks individually and spray them 2 times. Yeah, that was fun. And that's basically all the preparation I did for this shoot. Then I just shot a bunch of shots and prayed that it would look good put together. Okay, so now you have a little bit of backstory. Let's have a look at day 2 of shooting the rest of the flavors. Okay, so now we are actually doing the final shot, but we're doing it for all the flavors because we have 3 flavors left and I've decided to have the same sort of ending shot for all of them. As you can see, we sprayed it with water and glycerin. We have 2 rim lights here on each side and we have a huge key light above. So that's what it's going to look like. Now I'm gonna turn this super big Lazy Susan on and we're just gonna let it spin for a lap or 2. And it's not plugged in. There we go. Okay, so now we're done with the last shot of all the flavors, and now we're gonna do sort of the same thing, but we're gonna start with the intro shot of all the flavors. So we're gonna turn all the lights off and then we're gonna turn each light on separately so we get this sort of starting up sequence, and I just think it looks cool. Do you think it looks cool? Cool. So now we're gonna green screen all of the cans with the different flavors, and the only green screen I have is this humongous thing. Smooth. Nice! So the green screening up, everything is restored. We have a small light tube shining a light on the green screen. We have the can on this little plastic thing on the head one that's gonna do another 360. And we're gonna do the same thing with all the flavors so we can key them out later in post. I can't even reach across it. You would think that I would learn from my mistakes. It broke. Look. Non-light, you do make good products. Okay, so we got this little rig to work, and now we're gonna fill this up with this one, and then we're gonna make a pour, and hopefully this will work flawlessly. Okay, so it didn't work, so I'm just gonna free pour it, and I'm also using a higher shutter speed to get this to look a bit more crispy. So as you could see, everything didn't go as smoothly as one would hope when shooting a product video, and I think product videos is a lot about experimenting and trying to find new angles and new shots. I was actually this close to giving up on this project because I didn't think the first edit looked good. I had absolutely no idea what to do, and just to give you a bit of reference, here is the absolute first edit that I did. So I think I sat up to like 3 a.m. just trying different things, and when I got this first export out, I was like, I have to call my client tomorrow and say that we can't do this. Then I went to sleep, and the day after it sort of just hit me that maybe it would be cool to add this sort of torn paper transitions in between and make it a bit more rough that way. So I tried it, and I'm really happy that I did, because to me that sort of saved the video or videos. And that's a valuable life lesson. If you're not happy with your first export, nothing is wrong. Just go to bed, wake up the next day and try something else, or wait a week if you have the time. Your first export will never look good. That's just a fact. So if you haven't figured it out, the way I did this shot was I took my black gravel and I put it in a glass tray. Then I took 2 light tubes set to red and I put a white paper in between. This sort of diffused the light and evened it out throughout the whole tray. And then finally I used the smoke trick that I did on TikTok to get this sort of hazy look. And I was a bit conflicted with this shot, because usually a drink is supposed to be chilled and cold. But I think why it works is because the rest of the video is a bit tougher, and we have these sort of fiery flares. And of course we have the red details in the labels. For the energy flavor, which has blue details in the label, I actually switched the light from red to blue, and I think it looks equally great, but it didn't look as good with the red details, so that's why I kept it red. Yeah, I studied a few other product videos and product shots and found out that almost every time the whole product is completely in focus. Beginners or amateurs, they use a very shallow depth of field, me included in the beginning. Every other shots, I'm all for having a shallow depth of field blurry background, but whenever shooting products, try to keep that lower aperture at like 7 or 11 and it will look great. So if you want to take anything away from this video, it is that try shooting at a lower aperture, because it will look more professional. Also, if it doesn't look super good in camera, you'll probably be able to fix it in post. And lastly, if your first edit doesn't look good, don't worry about it. Leave it for now, take a break, go to sleep, do whatever, and come back to it. And I promise you that you're gonna get some new inspiration. Okay, so that is it for this little hybrid talking head behind the scenes episode. I hope you enjoyed it and that you learned something. If you have any further questions, just let me know in the comments or ask away in the Facebook group, and I will see you in the next one.